Hello and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today we are continuing our coverage of Oathbringer with chapters 60 through 64. We're mostly following along with Paladin and Shallan and Elhokar and Adolin, which is a good combo to see together. A bit more of Elhokar, which I'm keen for. We finally get to Kholinar, which is, kind of exciting and a bit scary with what's going on there. We meet Adolin's tailor. That's a bit overwhelming for her. And getting a message to the palace proves a little more dangerous. And I certainly didn't see that coming for Shallan. And then finally seeing Dalinar preparing to go across to Azir and having a good chat with the Stormfather as well, which is a nice little bit of information there. So pretty keen to get into these chapters. I'm Jamie, and with me is
Data,
Joe,
and Dak.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
So yeah, big chunk of, what do we do, 5 chapters this time? So a decent amount of text here. What did you guys think of these 5 chapters?
I mean, these were okay. I think there were some bits in it that were, I guess, more appealing than others. We always get to the start of a new part and it's a bit slow going and all that sort of stuff. I think the journey to Kholinar was pretty cool, seeing that getting underway and how that's working. I appreciated Brandon's explanation of the lashings again. And I don't know why this one just seemed to land. I don't know if it's when we last spoke about how they worked in accompanying this new information, but it's like your body just forgets the attachment to the ground. It's like, see, I understand that. Thank you, Brandon. That was good. So that was fun. Shallan enjoying flying and Adolin not. I quite enjoyed that as well. And just the visual of them wearing their underwater masks to protect from the wind is pretty fun. But getting to Kholinar, things are pretty scary there. I'm glad we finally got to see what was going on there. And, watching Elhokar having to, figure out what the hell's going on with his wife, it's pretty crazy. I like that that's kind of a mystery that we've got to solve. I think the most stunning thing for me was having Shallan go to deliver the messenger, be the messenger, deliver the message to Elhokar's wife and get killed effectively. I was sort of thinking, because they'd mentioned a couple of times people going up to the palace and just sort of not coming back, and I was like, yeah, they're dead. They've gotten rid of them, and yeah, probably exactly what's been happening. So I'm glad that Shallan was able to get out of that well. But yeah, that was definitely pretty stunning. And Dalinar's chat with the Stormfather before he was getting ready to go through the Oathgate again, that was pretty cool. A little bit of, figuring out who one of the heralds is for Dalinar. And I liked the discussion of like, weren't you gonna tell me this information? And Stormfather just has no idea it's significant until Dalinar figures out it's significant. Oh boy, this is talk about prying for information. But that's good. I'm enjoying getting a little bit more information from the Stormfather. I hope that continues as we move forward. But yeah, things are happening. I like that we're in a bit of a different direction, exploring a new mystery. I like that there's a bit of the, Sadeas's murder is still not solved, peppered throughout. So we haven't forgotten about that in the narrative, which is good. But yeah, a few new mysteries to solve, which I'm loving.
Yes, it is nice that they're not like, we'll just forget about the fact that a major character died and we don't know who killed him. Well, we know who killed him, but yeah, it's I do like that we're at least keeping touch with that a little bit, because that Eli still cares.
Yeah, there is someone out there that cares that Sadeas is dead. No one cares too much, otherwise they'd be devoting more resources. But no one's figured anything out yet either. So our boy Adolin's still okay at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, apparently that his murder, he was pretty good murderer there. Didn't leave a lot of evidence or something. I don't know. Maybe they're just bad at investigating murders. Who knows?
Now we need like CSI Urotheory.
Ooh. Okay, I'm on board with this.
These chapters were lovely, man. I did enjoy the flying bit. There's some... It seemed kind of tropey, some of the like, oh, she loves flying. Oh, he's sick. But at the same time, it was kind of fun. Interesting kind of the explanations. I agree with Jamie about the lashings to get to get that kind of information again. And I agree. It's like Brandon kind of lays it out very, very simply yet elegantly in this situation. It's like it doesn't work like physics you think it should work. It's like you have no more pull to the ground. That does not exist. So like it kind of made a little bit more sense, right? It's basically saying the laws of gravity are shattered. This power shatters those laws and creates a new way of kind of interacting with the world around you. So that was helpful. Kind of made a little more sense. And we get into Kholinar. I think we all kind of expected that this was not going to go smoothly, and it hasn't. Them arriving, them seeing some kind of darkness over the palace itself. Elhokar like being like, we need to go in there, and then being like, that's not really going to work in this situation. We need to be cautious. And then that caution is apparently very justified. Shallan goes in, gets stabbed, and then is thrown in a room with other bodies that have been left to rot. Interesting to me also that they're just like, stab him, throw him in this room, be done with it. Right? Don't care about the bodies in the room. We don't need to freshen it up or hide them in any way. Just throw them in that room. It's fine.
How often do we clean up the dead body room? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about that. Nobody's going in there unless we put them in there because they're dead.
Yep, into the body ditch. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. We don't have a wood chipper, so this is the next best thing. Just throw
At least the ditch would be outside. Like this is.
Yeah, this is
a
room in the palace. I just imagine there's like a makeshift taped sign on the room. It's like, do not enter.
It's like they bring Elhokar into the palace, and he's just like, that was where I kept my father's urn.
Did the maidservant like just come out of the body room? It's fine. She knows what the deal is. She cleans up and then she leaves. But the bodies are still in there. Yeah, she doesn't clean the bodies, just the room.
We need to get a better maid, one who will clean up the bodies.
Yeah. So yeah, a little shocking. Backing up just a tad, there's some relationship stuff going on between Kaladin and Shallan that I'm not a super big fan of. We'll get into it. And then the Dalinar stuff, kind of an interesting kind of preparatory chapter. It's like preparing us. Dalinar's about to go do this thing. He's about to meet Lift, which in person, which, oh boy, that might be interesting. But in regards to that, there were some kind of interesting things going on before he arrives with the armies and kind of the tension. It's like you still have this kind of overarching tension between Sidaeus' / Amaram's people and the rest of the soldiers.
Yep.
Also interesting that Amaram like changed the banner a bit. I don't really get the axe things. He's not known for wielding a giant axe, Amaram, right? But anyway. Anyway, no, good stuff. Excited to because I feel like, we're getting to the point now. We're about halfway through the book. There's possibility of some actual conflicts taking place soon. So excited to possibly get into that.
It does seem like we may be coming up, but like we're setting up some sort of conflict in Kholinar,
right?
Almost certainly. So if nothing else, you've got that. Dalinar's mission, we only see the very beginning of it here. It seems like maybe it'll be more peaceful. That's what he's striving for anyway. So that would be nice for him. Yeah,
and the Bondsmith stuff, I forgot to touch on that. Good information from the Stormfather. Also good to know like that he actually does have limitations on information. It's kind of like Syl said with Kaladin, right? It's like, well, I know you can do this thing. I'm not going to know how it works until you do it, because that's how it I guess like the activation of the power triggers the memory and the spread. I don't know. It's a weird thing. But it's good to know like the Stormfather isn't necessarily keeping information from Dalinar. It's more that he's like, I can't really give it to you because I don't completely know it. So that makes a little more sense, even though it's kind of a frustrating limitation of Spren physiology, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, no, it's I'm excited to have him unlock his powers. Also to know who these other Bondsmith Bren are, because that feels like it's important to know.
You would think, right?
Yeah, I've got a prediction about one of them, just because we've seen it before. So I'll get to that when we get there. But
okay,
I'm probably wrong. But we've seen one before that I'm like, hey, that could be it. So we'll see.
at least the Stormfather is being cooperative here. That's nice to see, as opposed to him always just trying to like, no, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah.
I'm your spren, but I'm like the least helpful of every spren.
Yeah, I do like that Dalinar is like, he's learning. It's like he was beginning to learn when to know not to push the Stormfather. He's like, okay, if I keep doing this, it's going to annoy him and he's going to shut down. So let me just not do that.
Yeah, man. Dalinar learning to be tactful. Like, who would have thought?
Yeah, with a being that talks to him inside his brain.
Yeah, these are fun set. I've been hanging out for a while. It's like, okay, I'm getting tired of everyone sitting at Urithiru talking about going places. I'm ready for them to actually start going places. So finally going to Kholinar. Yes, I'm all in. Yeah, I like the interplay between the characters. Not so much the Kaladin Shallan.
He's combining them. The thing that he said that he would never do.
No, that's just me tripping over my words like I frequently do. They know that. My brain starts moving, my mouth struggles to keep up, and I just trip over my damn words.
We all know that you're super into the possibility of a Shaladin. It's fine.
Oh, kill me now. And yeah, I'm here to see Elhokar like coming more into his own. Maybe he can start learning his own shard powers. I like that he's not perfect, and we're seeing that a lot. He's still got his really titled demeanor going on. But he's listening to people's advice. They're saying, no, that's a bad idea. We should not do this. And he's going, okay, cool. No, I brought you along to hear your advice, so I'm going to listen to it and heed to it. And like, I think that might still be part of, part of the reason like there was the whole trouble with Moash is because he was listening to people that he shouldn't. So he's still just, it's kind of like he wants to be more assertive, but he also doesn't want to not listen to the people he's got advising him. So he seems to just go like, he can't, like, it seems like he can't really find the balance between listening to his people and asserting himself over them. So, but it's nice to see it in action. It's nice to see him trying and getting involved and doing his thing. So that was really cool. Once we get inside the city, there's a lot going on. Like his Taylor family seems nice. This Spren cult thing is terrifying to me. And there's all these whispers about this one random high marshal on the walls who seems to have taken control of the city. And like, I'm suspicious, but I don't know what to make of it because we haven't met this person yet. Who knows what he's like?
Right.
What was it? High Marshal Azul?
Azure.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. And, yeah, then we get to the fresh hell that is inside the palace that Shallan finds. And that was just all kinds of messed up, which I won't belabor that point too much. But, yeah, like I am 100% all in. I want to see what's going on in Kholinar. I want that story to the point where, as cool as the Dalinar chapter was, it kind of felt like a bit of an afterthought compared to everything else we read this week. It's like good information in there, but I'm just like, I want to go back to Kholinar. Going back to Kholinar.
Yeah, I think having our reading be like all of these Kholinar chapters, and then it just ended on like the one Dalinar chapter, it's kind of impossible for it not to feel that way, probably.
Yeah. But that's okay. It was still good times, good fun. So, yeah. Good set of chapters, eager for more.
I'll buy that. It's I think you're right on about Elhokar. We're watching him like try to figure out how to be a good king in a lot of ways. And it was like the big problem that he had. He was listening to the wrong people, and that's what started the whole Moash thing that almost got him murdered. So it's like that shit comes back to haunt you.
Yeah.
So we're now watching him strive to be better, and it's kind of cool to see.
Yeah. And it's like, it was really nice just to have that one moment in there where Kaladin sees him. It's like, okay, there's the king under all the other BS. There's the real king.
I mean, given how little respect Kaladin has had for him, it is, I agree that that's a nice moment to have. Even Kaladin is like, you know what? You got it in there somewhere, Elhokar.
Yeah.
You screw up all the damn time, as he said last time. But, you're trying.
Yeah. Underneath it all, he's very, 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 very far from a perfect man, but he is a good man.
And he's trying.
Yeah.
And I think Elhokar's, like, the character arc is one of the slowest burns that we've had, because, we met him all the way back at the beginning of Way of Kings, more or less, and it kind of took him several steps to come down from his completely full of himself, like I'm the king sort of thing. And so it's been an interesting ride, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. So like, I'm all here for it. I want to see where Elhokar goes. I think there's a lot of potential there for like, I want to see the superpowered king who learns from his failures and becomes a better king and a better man, and a radiant. I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah, that is. I feel like that is what they're hinting at least. Whether we actually end up there, who knows, right? But I feel like there's definitely hints that that's the direction we're heading.
Data
Absolutely.
You don't know that. I mean, his arc could still be going on at the end of book 5.
Like,
for all
who
you know.
knows? Like, oh, come on. His arc could be going on the end of book 5. That's the end of this era. What are you talking about?
Well, it's the end of the first arc. It's not like it's not
I thought
necessarily.
you
like
said
a
that the
Mistborn
next
thing.
one was gonna be like hundreds of years later.
No, I did not. I definitely didn't say
Oh,
that.
I thought you did.
No. I think what Brandon has said is there would be maybe a 5 to 10 year break.
Oh, yeah, that's not much at all.
But he hasn't like committed to it. Could be shorter. There's definitely like I said, he's told us who the prospective characters are for flashbacks and stuff. The next set of 5 books already, and there's definitely some people we know who are in there. So
overlap.
Yeah.
So not everybody dies. Good to know. Good to know. Spoiler.
Well, no, I mean somebody could be dead and get flashbacks. We've already established that.
I guess that's true.
Yeah. R.I.P. Eshonai.
We hardly knew ye. I guess let's get into these chapters, y'all. The first one is Wind and Oaths, which I think everyone very easily predicted was a Kaladin chapter.
Yeah, with a name like Wind and Oaths.
And we've got another just little excerpt from one of those gems in the drawers. And this one is just, I worry about my fellow truth watchers. And I'm like, okay, so is that everything? Or are you just giving us a sentence out of there? Because if that was your entire message on the Emerald, what a freaking waste.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of those in this section of chapters where I'm like, was that necessary to record?
I mean, even the last one from last time that was like, oh, this is going to be forever? Well, I want to talk about my husband and kids so that they get remembered. I'm like, that seemed a little silly, but even that was more like substantial than this.
That's at least, I can believe someone wanting to record that. Someone says this, if this is their whole message, I'm just like, okay, what was the point of that? You gave us nothing.
You're receiving a collect call from, I'm not giving my name to a machine.
Oh man, classic. So Kaladin is flying. That's a thing he likes to do sometimes. But he's noted that like being in the high storm, that's a little much, especially when he's trying to fly all these other people. So they're flying like above the high storm. And if he's within like 100 feet or so, he can still get the stormlight fill up or whatever. So that's where he's flying all these folks. And they can't bring their shard plate. We've established lashings don't work on the shard plate. Although I'm like, could you put it in a box and lash the boxes? Like shard plate is pretty valuable in a potential fight here.
Yeah, well, Data, they didn't have you making the plans. They should have.
Yeah, they should have. I mean, I was right there.
You were?
No, I was.
You're a world hopper? That'd be pretty sick.
No, he's saying he was in the box. That's how he knows the box can be.
What's in the box? Oh, it's Data. Hi.
Yeah, exactly. It was Datatha all along.
It was Datatha all along.
FedExed himself to Rosha.
And I like they talk about the glass-fronted masks, as I think Jamie pointed out. And I don't know if you guys remember where Shallan first saw these, but it makes complete sense that Shallan would be the one to be like, hey, why don't we use these? Because all the way back on the boat, she made them put her in the water at the beginning of Words of Radiance so she could see the Santhid. And they were like, here's these masks.
That's right.
That's right.
Santhid.
So I just like that little bit of continuity where it's like, yes, Shallan suggested these things. They're pretty cool. Apparently they're naval equipment. Who knew?
Yeah. Way to go, Shallan. Way to be, use your noggin.
And she brought along 2 of her soldiers, those sloppy deserters, and 1 maidservant. I love you. She's like, we can only bring so many people, and she wasted it on a maid. She can't go a few days without, jeez, this woman.
Kaladin doesn't even know.
Yeah, why would anyone communicate?
Yeah.
Communication. No.
I did love the note that's like Kaladin straight up told her, do not bring Gaz.
Yeah. He's like, not that guy. She's like, okay, fine, fair enough. Gaz is like, oh.
I wanted to go with the bridgeman. Wait, no.
No, I didn't.
No. And then, as you, I think a couple of people mentioned, it's interesting because Shallan, she's loving it. He's like, she doesn't understand how to like maneuver in the winds, and she keeps like being crazy and floating around, but she's having a good old time. Adolin, not so much. Adolin does not like the flying.
He's like, barf.
And he does say at some point, yeah, he threw up somewhere.
Yeah. I threw up into the storm. It came back and hit me in the face. It was a whole thing.
Some poor sap down there is like, they go out to clean up everything after the storm. And it's like, what is this streak on my land? I thought the storm was only meant to like drop rain and rocks and stuff. Why is it? Oh God,
What
no!
the hell is this?
What fresh hell is this?
It's like the latest. Like, first there was that storm going the wrong way, and now there's this storm throwing out puke.
It's just worse and worse. Oh, it's gonna gradually change to like all puke and no rain.
What has science done?
Bet you the storm
Or
will.
I
And
guess
we don't-
nature. Yeah. I guess nature in this one instance.
Or both. We don't get much note about like how Elhokar is responding to this. It just says that he's just staring forward. Like, yeah, I
He's
guess he's
focused.
determined to get where they're going. Yeah.
Yeah, he's focused. Hey man, if your wife and kid were really far away and there were monsters sieging and you were a king and it was your palace, you probably feel pretty determined to get there.
Yep. I can probably safely say that I would have some strong feelings in that regard. Yeah. And as we're flying, Syl is trying to like hook Kaladin up with Shallan.
It's weird.
It's like, look, she loves the wind. She loves flying. You love flying. You guys are perfect.
So that's not how it works, Syl.
And then Kaladin's like, he's like, really? You think I'd be into her? She can't even go on a secret mission without bringing a maidservant. And Syl's like, dude, I have seen how you look at her. You keep trying to like look at her when she's not looking. Come on, you can't trick me. And then Kaladin's like, yeah, we better stop before we overshoot Kholinar. Let's get to work.
Yeah, we'll continue this conversation never.
Yeah. Bye.
And that's where it gets into the discussion, which we've had a couple of times. I feel like Brandon's tried a couple different ways to explain to us how lashing works and why like a half lashing only makes you weigh nothing, and a quarter lashing makes you weigh half. And he's like, even Sigzil's new explanations as he's tried to study this phenomenon don't quite answer all the questions, but it works. So I guess that's the important thing. And Kaladin goes down to take a look after Adolin mentions that he lost his lunch, and Shallan thinks she's going to lose her shoes. And then they have that thing. It's like, wait, no joke about boots? And he's like, yeah, I tried. I couldn't think of anything good. But Kaladin dips down to get a look at the city, and he's like, okay, he can tell that the bad guys haven't taken the city yet. The Voidbringers are down there. He can even see that they're building like shelters, like storm shelters in that big empty space between the nearest town and Kholinar that we've established before. Like, it's out there specifically, so an invading army has to be outside during the storms if they want to be close. It's a very nice city, very big city. He's very impressed. But what he sees up in the palace area is a darkness, he says. Something is wrong there. He can't put his finger on it, but it's not right. And it's right there, right where the Oathgate platform is, basically. Or in the Oathgate platform's right next to the palace. It's in the whole palace complex area that something is weird and wrong. And he goes back to tell the others, and Elhokar's like, oh, they haven't taken the city? Awesome. Let's go down to the palace and sort this shit out. And Kaladin's like, there's something wrong. It looks dark. I advise caution. And Elhokar's like, my wife and child are there. They might be in danger. Like, let's just go. And then he kind of looks around. He's like, we want to get to the Oathgate as soon as possible. And then he looks around like, right? Don't we? And Kaladin's like, again, I advise caution. And Adolin's like, yeah, Kaladin's not really like the jumpy type. So if he thinks something's up, maybe caution would be a good idea. And Elhokar's like, all right then. I mean, that is why I brought Shallan. So, and they decide to land outside of town and do some illusioning. And then we get a map of Kholinar, which is neat, because I love maps. But, and also a map of the palace, and the big round platform that the palace is connected to, which is the Oathgate, as they've talked about a few times. It's the big round thing connected to the palace.
It's been a while since we had a good city map.
I know, right? We haven't been in that many cities, I guess, except for we got some images of Urithiru, but kind of like big. It's hard to wrap your brain around in some ways. Our next chapter, Nightmare Made Manifest. And this person's like, we can record any secret we want and leave it? How do we know that it'll be discovered? Well, I don't care. Record that then. Like, great, man. Yeah, thanks for the effort you put into this.
That's the one I was talking about. I'm like, what use is that to anyone?
It's so ridiculous. I don't know why. Like, were they forcing them? Like, everyone must record a thing.
Yeah, I
got a blade to his neck and it's like, fucking say something. Why?
I feel like the discovery of the library when we first read about it was like, oh, this is really cool. Maybe they'll get some really good information. And now I feel like Brandon's just playing a joke on us. He's like, yeah, these things are meaningless. They suck. Nobody cares. Yeah, I'm like, oh, come on.
It does feel like he's messing with us. Like we found this cool library, this hidden library.
Check out this cool library. Oh, guess what? It's full of useless shit nobody cares about.
This was Renarin's big win. Fuck you, Renarin.
Yeah,
I mean, can't all be useful information. That would be communication.
Yes.
She just maybe thinks like they can't all be winners.
It's true.
So, in my mind, that's a bad Santa quote, but I guess it's actually from several things.
Yeah, he opens up the little Christmas thing and he'd accidentally ate the chocolate. He's like, "Yeah, they can't all be winners."
Yeah,
it's a good one.
Good movie. Very offensive, but still.
Very good offensive movie.
Yeah. So they land a little bit away so that no one sees them glowing and flying down out of the sky. And Shallan, like, they go into a cave, I guess, and Shallan creates an illusion so that nobody can see them. The problem is that the wind and rain cut right through the illusion, so it's not a great fun time. And as we found out, I think in the Elhokar, or not in the Moash perspective, they're letting the Parshmen are letting refugees go into the city to kind of put a burden on the city. And so they're like, hey, we can be refugees and go in there. Awesome. And so Shallan casts some illusions over the people who might be recognized. Adolin, he's a pretty famous guy. He lived here at some point. Elhokar is the king. Clearly someone might recognize him. Let's go ahead and disguise him. And then Kaladin.
So do we think that her disguise for Kaladin is what she later says it is, or is it just a prank? Or maybe a little this, a little of that.
It does feel like she's trying a little hard to justify it to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, it just struck me. I think this just feels like kind of a dick move.
I feel like it's one of those the lady protests too much type of things where it's like she has to distance herself from the way that she's having these feelings about him. So she does this as kind of like, look, I'm making him look ridiculous. I'm not interested in him at all.
Especially like in front of Adolin. Yeah, maybe.
Right.
And Elhokar has a moment here where he's like, they decide it's one of the unmade. That's what we think is up in the palace area of the city. And Elhokar's like, you were right to recommend caution. My instinct is still to rush in. That's wrong, isn't it? I must be prudent and careful. Like he's trying to be a better king. And so Kaladin, who says he does not need a disguise, and Shallan's like, actually, you spent some time with those Parshmen, so we don't want them to recognize you. Also, just better to be safe than sorry. Here, let me disguise you. And apparently it looks real bad, as Joe mentioned. And Adolin's like, wow, that's really impressive. That's so ugly. Meanwhile, Adolin is also disguised as an old man, but he's like this handsome, lean, like old man. It says, what does it say? The kind of old rogue you'd find in a pub with handy tales about the brilliant things he'd done in his youth. The kind of man that made women think they preferred older men, when in reality they just preferred him.
Adolin went total silver fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elhokar, she's like, I'm going to make you a woman. And he's like, okay. And she has a whole explanation ready, like to argue with him about why, no, this is a good idea. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't care. Just do it.
He's going to channel his inner Karen.
And everyone who looks at it is so amazed and comments so much on what Kaladin looks like that he's like, what? What is it? What did she do? Because it's not like they have mirrors or anything. And it's like a long time. They're all the way through the city before he gets a chance to see what was done to him. He even asks Syl, like, could I make you like a flat, shiny piece of metal? And she's like, oh, a mirror? Not sure if it's possible. No, not sure if it's dignified. I'm a majestic weapon and must be only used in majestic ways. I think Sill's just messing with him too, and it's great. We established that the river here is called the Windrunner River. The Alethi Light Eyes rule because of you, Elhokar says to Kaladin. Your order was prominent here in what was then Alethela, which I don't remember who pointed out, but it's like they say Alethela in one of the interludes, like we're gonna go there, and I think it was Jamie who's like, obviously that's got to be Alethkar, just their name for it back then. And there's a whole conversation where Elhokar's like, we can't afford mistakes, and Kaladin's like, well, I don't intend to make any, and he's like, no, I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about me. I'm gonna make mistakes, and we can't afford that, so you need to be ready to do stuff correctly. Open the Oath Gate, see that my wife and child get through to safety, and then come back with the army. You're in charge of making sure this happens right when I screw it up.
Yeah. Also, don't forget to come back for me. That's important. Even if I screw up, I still don't want to die.
No, yeah, preferably I won't die. Yeah, let's put that on our priority list also. Although I think Dak theorized that he would, so maybe that gets left off the priority list for and Kaladin. It's like, oh, that wasn't on my list of things to do. Make sure he didn't die. Damn. No, wait. Dak thought Adolin was gonna die, so that's who it would be.
Yeah. No, I'm saying it's like no. I thought Adolin was probably gonna.
I'd completely forgotten who you theorized. Apparently.
I was like, what are you talking about? That's not what I said.
Let's see. And Adolin's like, we're gonna need a place in the city to hole up, right? I got just the place. Close enough to the palace to get us there, but like far enough away that it won't be like nobody will be watching us. Somebody that we can trust. I know exactly where to go. I'm like, okay, I mean, you lived here, fine. And they get up to the door, and Elhokar, as a woman, is like, I demand entry. And there's a bunch of people out here waiting. And there's some guards, and they're like, how many fighting men can you provide for the city's defense? And Elhokar's like, none? These are my personal guard? And it's like, okay, then Brightness, you should march them personally to the south and try a different city. And they won't. They're like, no, we're not letting anybody else in today. We only let so many people in a day. There's just too many people in here. You'll enjoy it better in another city. Just go. And Elhokar's like, what? Let me talk to your superior. Who is that? I serve High Marshal Azure of the Wall Guard. And Elhokar's never heard of him. Adolin's never heard of him.
Yeah, the king and the son of the king's uncle's just like, who?
Yeah. That might not be a good sign, but who knows?
No, that's a very bad sign. That seems like, given we know there were riots and stuff throughout the city, that sounds like someone else has just like thrown themselves on the top of the pecking order and said, all right, the city's mine now, fuck off.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It could happen. But Adolin does note, it's like, well, we've been gone for 5 years. I'm sure lots of officers have been promoted in that time.
Yes, let's hope that that's what it is.
And Elhokar keeps arguing. It's like, well, let me talk to the High Marshal's boss. And the guy's like, the High Marshal has no commander. Elhokar's like, wait, what? What about the Queen? And the guard's like, look, you got those two guys, to Drehi and Scar, who have come along to help fly people. Just assign them to the wall guard and we'll let you in. Not that one, though. He looks sick, pointing to Kaladin.
Yeah. Nah, we don't want him.
Yeah. And I don't know how this would have resolved if it weren't for the fact that suddenly there was an attack by 20 flying Voidbringers.
Yeah, I had to thought to myself later, it's like, man, thank God those Voidbringers attacked. And then I thought, that's a fucking weird thing to say.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's what we call convenient plot and convenient storytelling.
Yeah.
I wonder if he hadn't disguised himself, would it even have worked? Would two random wall guards recognize the king? If he walked in like, I'm King Elhokar, they'd be like, yeah, tell us another one. Of course, he could have just pulled out his shard blade and cut through if he wanted to prove that he was an important dude, I guess.
Does Elhokar have a shard blade yet? Has he bonded his friend?
No, not that. I mean,
He got his king's blade.
He has, in fact, two shard blades. He has his
Yeah.
the one that he had and his dad's.
I keep forgetting about those. We barely ever see them.
Yeah, mostly we saw them getting loaned out to people to fight with.
Yeah.
And so they get in the city, and Kaladin immediately wants to go help defend the wall. And Adolin's like, no, come on. What are you going to do? We're going to summon our shard blades and, like, swing at the air? No, I don't think so. This is just, like, a raid to test our defenses. It's fine.
So I like this, and I like then Adolin and Kaladin talking about, like, Kaladin says, okay, explain it to me. Why wouldn't that have worked? And, like, Adolin breaks down battle tactics, and, like, there's no condescension or jokes in it. There's just, like, no, I have a genuine question. And Aelin's like, all right, here's a genuine answer. And like, I like how these two are starting to, like, they had their banter before when they were talking about the Unmade, and now they're talking about tactics. And it's like, you guys are getting along. Like, you are recognizing, okay, this guy knows something that I don't. I'm going to listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the two best friends that anyone ever had.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another interesting arc that we've kind of seen is going from Kaladin kind of despising Adolin, quite frankly, and Adolin not liking him back, to they've been through some shit together and they've become, if not friends, at least like allies, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
At least respect each other.
Yeah. Mutual
And I think-
respect.
Well, even when they didn't like each other, Adolin, like, we saw it at least a couple of times where he just go like, I don't like the guy, but he does know what he's talking about. So this feels like natural growth. Now Kaladin is paying it back the other way. Like, he's recognized that's how Adolin has always seen him, and so he's paying it back.
And you're right that it is an interesting discussion of tactics in addition to that, because obviously, you know, tactics here, military tactics, work differently from what we might think about, but shard bearers can't hold land or territory or whatever is what he says. And Kaladin's like, why not? It's like, so basically, like, a shard bearer can rip through a bunch of guys, but he can't like hold a city by himself. You need an army to hold the city. He can't be everywhere at once. He can't fight the entire population of the city at the same time. And Adolin thinks these Voidbringers and probably like Radiance must be the same way. Like, they have incredible power. They can do lots of stuff, but you still can't be in a million places at once. So, and then we run into these people dressed real weird. There's a parade happening, but it's a sad, creepy parade.
All hail to the spread.
And so, yeah, it's a bunch of people dressed up. They eventually realize, like Spren, but like they're marching down the street, being like yelling out nonsense phrases, and it's weird. And I love Adolin's like, what the damnation is happening? And Kaladin's like, oh, that's not normal. No, it's not normal.
Yeah, you got so many of these people who have never been here before, and they're like, well, that's fun.
He's like, I guess this is how they do stuff here. It's like, I visited a moon where the primary form of entertainment was juggling geese.
I don't know that
people just do stuff differently. No, it's a Firefly reference, I guess, for anyone out there.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been too long since we watched it.
yeah.
That's no moon. That's not a Firefly reference.
No.
No. No, I got that one.
And then they also notice that like some of the Spren look weird. Like not the people dressed as Spren, although they do look weird. The actual Spren. Like they see exhaustion Spren, which are normally brown, but these are bright red for some reason and distorted. And Syl goes, oh, this is wrong. No, those Spren are of him. And they're like, okay, let's keep moving then.
Syl's just looking at the parade of people dressed like Spren, just going, motherfucker, that is cultural appropriation.
Syl should be outraged. And so Adolin leads them to where he's planning on going. And that's where Kaladin finally sees his own face. It's like scars and bulges and open sores and big jutting teeth, patchy hair. He's like, what did you do to me? And this is where Shallan's excuse is, you always are so memorable, the way that you move and act. I thought that even if you were disguised, you would be memorable, so I had to make your disguise even more memorable.
Bull.
He goes, I look like some kind of hideous Spren. And Syl is offended by that. Like, hey! And they knock on the door, and a Thaylen woman comes out. And she's like, yeah, who are you? What do you want? And Aelin's like, oh, Shallan, you need to... And so to hide the fact that they're using magic, Shallan, like, rubs his face with a towel as if removing makeup. And when she pulls it away, he's Adolin again.
It's like, look at this amazing disguise. Only makeup, nothing else.
Yep.
It's like Mission Impossible when they pull off those masks.
Yeah.
That's exactly where my mind went.
And the lady's like, oh, Prince Adolin, hurry, come in. It's not safe. And they get in, and there's like bolts of cloth and dummies with half-finished coats on them. And Kaladin's like, what is this place? And Adolin's like, well, we need to stay with someone I trust with my life or more. So I brought us to my tailor.
Not a great joke.
I mean, Yeah, it feels Adolin to me. He takes clothes very seriously, and obviously he's not sewing his own clothing, so I'm surprised he didn't bring his tailor on campaign.
If your tailor can't be honest with you about how you look in something, well, you just can't trust that tailor. So
True.
they're all good here.
Okay. Oh boy.
Now see, the epigraph on the next chapter is the one that I'm like, okay, it doesn't tell us that much, but I believe that you're like, I would record this. I wish to submit my formal protest at the idea of abandoning the tower.
Yeah, I mean, at least that has contextually some information of like, oh, there was an issue and they were talking about abandoning the tower. It's not like, you want me to record something? Yeah, just record this. Who cares?
Yeah, this feels, if not a knowledge nugget, then at least a crumb.
They recorded these right when they were abandoning the tower. Okay, that's something. Not a lot, but it's something. And so Shallan is the perspective here, and she's thinking about this city is brimming with secrets. She wants to figure out what is going on here. So she punched herself in the face. And then she goes, man, this is harder than I thought. I always flinch right before I hit. Okay.
This whole bit, I'm just like, I don't quite get what the end game is here. It seems like it's like, serious conversation happening in the background. Meanwhile, Shallan's doing some Monty Python shit in the I'm like,
I gotta see
Well, it
these
kinda
spreads.
does, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of goofy
So she
and not
starts
in a
out.
fun way.
She's at the beginning. She's trying to find pain spren. She wants to produce pain spren. That's what's happening. Meanwhile, there is a serious conversation going on. The tailor, who has been here the whole time, knows at least some of what's been happening in the city. And she says it started with the riots. Well, maybe before that. And she's kind of like, she's having trouble. Like, she did not expect the king to be showing up in her house today. So they're like, it's okay. Calm down. Take a deep breath.
like, would you ever expect the king to just rock up on your doorstep,
Probably not.
regardless of what condition the city is in?
So it really started with the execution of that Ardent, who, hey, we met her before she was hanged. The queen hanged her, and oh, it was so gruesome. And then she realizes, oh, geez, I'm talking bad about the queen to the king. Sorry. And Holocar's like, no. Don't fear that I'm going to get upset. We have to know what the city's people think. Not we have to know what happened. We have to know the truth. We have to know what you guys think.
It was so gruesome. Oh, I'm sorry. That's fine.
And she says the riot started and the queen just kind of disappeared. Like, she'd release a proclamation every once in a while, but they really didn't make much sense. And Elokar's convinced it must be this dark spren controlling. Like, my wife would never have been so imprudent as to publicly execute an Ardent during such perilous times. Or in my version it says parlous, which I'm not sure is a word. Hold on.
No, I think it's a typo.
Oh no, parlous, full of danger and uncertainty.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Hmm.
Brandon showed us.
Yep. Take that, me.
Got one of them word a day calendars.
And this lady Yokska is very relieved to have an excuse. Like, oh yes, the dark spren in the palace. Obviously, that must be the problem.
Yeah,
You're
my
so
entire world in the monarchy's not crashing down around me, and I'm not telling the king that his wife is insane. It's dark spren, sure.
Yeah.
Even though I've never heard of such a thing, did not believe such a thing could exist, and also probably did not believe that spren could influence people in that way.
But still, it's all good. Meanwhile, Shallan gets some scissors and stabs herself in the leg to produce the pain spren, which normally it says look like hands, disembodied hands, normally bright orange. Now they look like skinless, disembodied hands that are sickly green in color, which both of those sound just disturbing as hell to me.
Yeah,
That's
super
fucked
cool,
up.
super cool.
Like, and then you think about, man, Kaladin was a surgeon. Like, he got trained on this sort of shit.
Yeah.
Like, he saw the little hands like coming out of people all the damn time. That'd be freaky
Yeah.
as fuck.
I guess when it's a normal part of life, you're just like, yeah, that's weird, but it's just how it works.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, you're used to it. It's bizarre. And then she decides she wants to find like embarrassment spren, and she can't figure out quite how to do it. And eventually, she will decide to like trip and fall down the stairs and accidentally expose her safe hand, and that does the trick. But we'll get there.
Weird.
And so Adolin wants to know if there was anything like they saw in the tower, like murders being copycatted, or essentially, or something like that. And she's like, no, nothing like that. Although many people were killed. And so it's like, okay, so this is probably not the same one, but who really knows? Also, we get a note that hunger spren do not look any different than the normal ones. And she's like, why is that, I wonder? The queen sent that the Parshmen were to be exiled or executed, actually, I guess is what she said. And she was like, well, that seemed weird. Like, why would you do that to poor Parshmen? They never did nothing to nobody. And Elhokar takes this as kind of a good sign, at least, that like when he sent a message to back home that the Parshmen should be like kicked out, exiled, then it must have reached her because she made a similar pronouncement, except she said executed. Maybe she just read it wrong. Exiled, executed. They look the same, right?
We need your glyph alphabet to be sure.
Kaladin avoids pointing out the logical problem that if the Dark Spren arrived during the Everstorm, then the execution of the Ardent had been done by the Queen herself without some influence. But, we don't need to talk about that. It's fine. Also, we don't know that the Unmade can actually control someone. The one in Urithiru had just like copied stuff. But yeah, whatever. Well, let the king think what he wants.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if they know, but we know that the thrill is a result of one of the Unmade. So, like,
that does seem to have some influence, if not control. Yeah.
Yeah, if not control, it definitely gives you a push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess they don't know. We learned that from like Teravangian or the diagram, right? So,
I believe so. Yes.
And so at one point, she says a bunch of light eyes, like some very powerful light eyes in the city, were like, we don't want to execute the Parshmen. Let's go talk to the Queen. And Kaladin's like, let me guess. They never came back? No, Bright Lord, they did not. And we didn't actually execute the Parshmen. There was rioting going on. A bunch of stuff was going on. We didn't do that. The Wall Guard eventually just kicked him out of the city. And then the Everstorm came. And yeah, now I understand why she said this. And that's the moment Shallan throws herself down the stairs and is horribly embarrassed. And she sees the shame spren, which are normally like flower petals falling around you, white and red. Now they look like pieces of broken glass. So there's a bunch of weird stuff happening with spren.
And of course, the thing that triggers it is my safe hand. The king, Adolin, and Kaladin can see it.
They all saw it.
The safe hand thing.
And she's like, I'm fine, that was an experiment, and runs away.
I have to, like, in that moment, the tailor has to be like, what is going on with her?
Yeah, it's not quite the lady in the hotel from Bands of Mourning, but it's not far off.
It's like, here are all the possible things that could happen. We'll pay for them.
Yeah, top of the list is this lady exposing her safe hand in front of all the men.
Oh, yeah. It gets wild around here, let me tell you. She mentions the High Marshal, who's taken over the Wall Guard, showed up about the same time as the Queen was ordering the execution of the Parshmen. She's never seen him either. He doesn't really come down from the wall. And so Kaladin says, well, who's in charge of the city now? And Yokska is like, I mean, nobody. A bunch of High Lords have basically like turned different parts of the city into their own little empires. And the Wall Guard guards the walls. But the real power is the Cult of Moments. Like, wait, are those weirdos dressed up like spren? Yeah. So spren started looking strange in the city. And then the weird storm and the Parshmen and the Queen, all this stuff scared people. Some have started claiming they can see a new world coming. A truly strange world ruled by the spren. Okay. So yeah, it's weird. And then there's the Fabrials. If you use a Fabrial, any kind of Fabrial, you draw these yellow screaming spren that fly down and swirl around you and scream until like one of these creatures comes down from the sky and attacks and takes.
Sounds like a great time.
Yeah, right. So no wonder they stopped using span reeds. And then finally Shallan comes in. She's like, maybe we should give this poor lady a break. And she's like, yes, please. And apparently they have a fairly large place that they live because they've got room for all these people to stay with them. So that's nice. And while she takes a break, the crew gets together to kind of discuss next moves. Kaladin wants to know what's up with the Wall Guard and this Azure fellow. Also, someone has to be feeding the city. Someone is providing grain, or else with the city stuffed with refugees and the normal amount of people, they would have all starved by now.
We know they can't use the soulcasters to make the food because that would draw the angry spren.
So find out where the food's coming from. Find out what is up with these wall guard people.
Just this wall guard, this high marshal is like, oh, he showed up right as everything went to shit, like that exact moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to meet this guy. I need to know what the fuck's going on with him. There's something really scratching my head.
Yup. There's something going on, it does seem like.
Something's up with Jack. Something's up with Jack.
And Shallan shows them the pictures of the weird spren, and Kaladin catches on to what was going on, and he gives her like a raised eyebrow, and she's just like, yeah, it worked, right? And so he's like, okay, Elhokar says, we got to come up with a plan. What should we do? Ideas. And Kaladin's kind of like, maybe we should just leave and talk to Dalinar and see what he thinks. And Elhokar's like, yeah, no, we're not asking Dalinar's permission no, that's dumb. What's he going to do? Send people to Kholinar? He already did that. That's us. And so we want to scout the city, get a better feel of things, is what Adolin says. And Elhokar's like, yes, a king needs accurate information to act correctly. And he comes up with the idea, Shallan, disguise yourself as a messenger, and I will dictate a letter. We'll put the royal seal on it, and you could pretend you just came from the Shattered Plains with the letter for the queen from me. And I love Kaladin's like, that's not a bad idea. And it notes he sounded surprised.
Keep forgetting you're not a complete moron.
And so they want her to, get inside, deliver the letter, scout around a bit, see if you can assess how things stand in the palace. And Kaladin's like, well, what do the rest of us do? And Elhokar's like, I suspect Brighton and Shallan wouldn't object to your company while she's doing this. And Shallan thinks, I do object, actually, but I can't say that.
I just love that. What? What? I'm not taking Bridge Boy.
And so they agree Shallan will do a little scouting first, and then she'll meet him at the bottom of the grand staircase or whatever, and she'll take the letter from there. Shallan wants to give him a illusion to disguise the brands on Kaladin's forehead, and he refuses. He's not going to have that. And then Shallan goes back to her room, and she's like, how much did you guys eavesdrop on? Because Vatha and Red and Ishna are all there. No, not too much. We were mostly watching Ishna ransack the tailor's bedroom to see if she was hiding anything. Which, that's rude, but I kind of get it. They didn't find anything, but the boys learned some good search procedures. And then Shallan realizes, I want to transform into Vale, but how will I explain to these guys who work with me and know Vale how Vale got here? I guess I'm going to have to tell them. And Pattern's like, oh, good, that's progress. All right.
On your Pattern.
And she says, some privacy, boys. Vale needs to get dressed. And pulls out Vale's coat and hat. And the guys look to the coat, look to Shallan, and Red's like, oh man, I'm an idiot. Okay.
I love that moment. They're like, ah.
And Vatha, she expected would feel betrayed, but he just nods like, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Ishna, on the other
wondering
hand,
why we'd never seen you both in the same location before. So this checks out.
Right. That does seem suspicious, right? But Ishna, says she already kind of suspected. When Vale sent her on this mission, she was like, okay. And then I saw the illusions, and I guessed, but I thought that Brightness Shallan was the persona, and Vale was real. But no, Vale is the fake one. And Shallan goes, no, they're both equally fake.
I don't know about that, Shallan.
If you legitimately believe that, that's actually kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the chapter ends with her jumping out the window and be like, tell Kaladin I'm already gone. Bye. And then we get 63 within the mirror. And this one, this epigraph I actually find kind of interesting. I returned to the tower to find squabbling children instead of proud knights. That's why I hate this place. I'm going to go chart the hidden undersea caverns of Amia. Find my maps in Akina. Which, hey, we were there one time. It's not an easy place to go. Maybe this was before, the weird storm and the giant spikes soul cast in the water. And she's walking around the city dressed as Vale. It's like, Vale liked being back in a proper city. And we get a lot of internal, Vale thoughts about how cities and these kind of things work. And she does note that when she does her light weaving, no crazy sprens show up screaming. So that means that it's not like a Fabrial, at least. She can use her powers. That's good.
I like that she tested it away from the tailor shop.
Mm-hmm.
That was smart.
And there's people everywhere, huddled masses. Because the city is just crammed to the gills with refugees. So, but she does note the Bridge Boy is right. The city is clearly still being fed. Eventually, she walks through the city. She notes a bunch of stuff. I don't know that we need to go into all of it, but including some of the wealthier homes. Like, there's where some rich people live. Okay. And then she heads to the stairs to meet Kaladin and changes from Vale to Lynn, the scout who has become one of the Windrunner squires. And she left the park as Vale playing a part. So she's still Vale. She's just Vale disguised as someone else. Which, this is getting complicated.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
And if she walks up to Kaladin, she's like, "It's me." And he's like, "Yeah, I could tell because you're wearing the face of a person I know who I know is not here." And she's like, "Do you like the boots on this outfit?" And he's like, "Do you really need to keep bringing that up all the time?" She's like, "No, I was giving you a passcode to prove who I am." He's like, "I knew who you were. Like, nobody else can pretend to be Lynn." And now it turns out Vale, she's kind of into Kaladin. She's like, why does Shallan focus on Adolin so much? This guy, he's brooding and he has those dangerous eyes.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
It doesn't make any sense.
And there's even a moment where it's like the part of her that was still Shallan deep down was bothered by this line of thinking. So it's just like layers and layers of this, like, what the hell is going on with this woman?
What is going on in your head? Like, has she actually developed like DID or something?
It seems like it may be implying that. It's hard. It's so hard to know.
I don't know. That's not a topic I know enough about to feel comfortable making, like, comments about it. So.
And so Shallan tells Kaladin, "You stay down here. I'm going to go up and deliver this. And if something happens, you come get me. I'll send Pattern if something is wrong, and you come running." And she goes up and she's like, "Hey," tells the guards, "I have a delivery from directly to Her Majesty from the Shattered Plains." And they don't like say anything or even break stride as they're walking. They just open the doors and escort her in. And she can really feel that wrongness here. Something is not right. And a guy with Captain Lord Knots is like, "Hey, what's this?" And the soldier says it's a messenger from the Shattered Plains. They take the letter away from her. And she's like, "No, I'm supposed to deliver that in person." But the Captain Lord has somebody else take it. Asks her who her commander is on the Shattered Plains, and she uses the name of a guy that she knows is the actual guy, captain, so maybe it'll pass muster. And just as she's being like, "Hey, no, I'm supposed to deliver that to the queen myself, hold on," one of the guys just stabs her, runs her through with his sword. Right from behind her, right comes out the front of her chest.
Super cool. Yeah, that's what we wanted, right?
Yeah.
It was just
And
so sudden.
Right?
I was reading it and I was like, what? Obviously, we knew Shallan was not going to die from that, but such precision. It's scary how polished that operation is.
Yeah. Like, no question. Nobody had to wonder, what do we do if a messenger comes from the Shattered Plains?
Yeah, nope.
They were just ready to stab her.
Yeah, we just kill him. That's what we do.
Yeah. And it's very sudden for her as well. She's in the middle of thinking like, okay, so whatever I learn here, we could use, just stab. And she's like, what the And then she realizes she's got to play dead. She can't like heal herself instantly and be glowing with stormlight because they'll know something's up.
The jig is up.
Yeah, so she has to hold her breath, take in some stormlight. She doesn't have to breathe while she's got stormlight. Heal the inside wounds just enough so that she doesn't die, but not enough that it's obvious to the people now carrying her body. And they just like chuck her in a room, throw her on the floor, turn around, walk back out, close the door.
Put it with the rest.
Yeah. And when she draws some more light and creates enough light to see, yeah, there's 7 other dead people down here wearing nice clothes. Their flesh chewed at by cremlings.
Ugh.
It's like she wants to scream, but she can't scream right now, so she has to hold that in. And she realizes this is like a wine cellar. This is, I guess, they need to throw him somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And Pattern shows up, and at first doesn't understand Shallan's problem. And he's like, "Oh, the destruction, the dead people. You destroy some things, but seeing other things destroyed upsets you. It's very confusing." I mean, Shallan has killed some people, and I feel like she gets fairly upset when that happens also, though.
Probably also a bit of shock.
With Pattern's help, she makes her way back outside and sends Pattern to find Kaladin. And it's like, bring him here. And Kaladin's like, "What the hell happened to you?" And she goes, "Well, as a connoisseur of things that have killed me, I think a sword happened. The evil force that rules the palace does not think highly of someone coming with a letter from the king. You could say it made that point quite clear." And then she's thinking, please please smile. I need something to indicate that things are all right. And Kaladin goes, well, I'm glad we took a stab at this. Like, oh, there we go. Okay, it can be okay now.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
3 out of 10.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was stupid.
And he's like, should we get back to the hideout? And she's like, yes, please. I'd rather not be killed again today. It's quite draining. And
Get it?
what
Stormlight draining. Ah ha ha
I thought it was like the blood draining.
ha. Either way.
Waka waka.
That brings us to our last chapter, and we leave Kholinar on that note for the moment. Dalinar's chapter is Binder of Gods, which I believe you guys also predicted would be a Dalinar chapter, so there we go. The disagreements between the Skybreakers and the Windrunners have grown to tragic levels. I plead with any who hear this to recognize you are not so different as you think. That is the first one that actually feels like someone is trying to be helpful in some way.
Yeah. Also, Windrunners and Skybreakers. Come on, Kaladin, Seth. You guys make up and be friends.
Be buddies, Kaladin and Seth. I don't think Kaladin doesn't even know Seth is alive, does he? So
Probably not.
He
I
got some
mean, no,
foreshadowing
we
there.
haven't seen him. Yeah. We haven't seen him since Edge Dancer.
oh, we haven't. You're right. I didn't even think about the fact he has not shown up yet, and we're like halfway through this book.
I have been painfully aware that like Seth has not been in this book because I'm just like, when Seth isn't on screen, all the other characters should be asking, "Where's Seth?"
Well, most of the other characters think Seth is dead, so
But they should still be asking.
Yeah.
in fact, Dalinar in the beginning of this chapter is taking Seth's sword out of its hiding place.
That's true.
And he's like, oh man, this is pretty badass sword. It can give people superpowers and shit. This is the sword that killed my brother. In reality, your brother got killed when he fell off the balcony crashed and he got a shard of wood.
Hey,
thrown in, but
tomato. It's fine.
Symbolically.
Come on, Data.
also the weapon of a king, Jezereza Ilin, Yezrian's sword. Which I forget at what point, if any, we learned that this was Yezrian's sword.
I don't recall that we did. I remember we learned the honor blades were the herald's blades, but I don't remember learning that this one specifically was Yezrian's.
And that is, I want to take a moment, I can't talk, to point out, let me see, was it Words of Radiance? Yes, so the prologue to Words of Radiance, you may remember, was from Yasna's perspective. And she sees two guys walking by, the same two guys that we've seen show up in a couple other places as like sticking out in here. And one of them is like, she's getting worse. We weren't supposed to get worse. Am I getting worse? I think I feel worse. And the other guy's like, shut up.
Wait, we've
The
seen
guy actually-
those. Who are these guys?
One of
I
these
remember them
guys
from this prologue, but I don't remember.
Yeah. We now know that one of them is Nail, actually. He has that like mark on his cheek.
No.
Oh.
And he's shown up a few times. And usually it's just called out. He's got dark skin and he's got like this crescent moon scar on his cheek.
Neat.
We very first saw them in the prologue to the Way of Kings, but it's only like, oh, there's two ambassadors from afar sitting at this table, and one of them has like this mark on his face.
Right.
So they were hanging around at this party, and Yasna runs into them in the hallway. And Nail is the one who's like, hey, shut up, to the other guy. And the other guy goes, I don't like this. What we've done was wrong. That creature carries my lord's own blade. We shouldn't have let him keep it. And so, yeah, there's a little bit that may be related to the fact that...
So Nail gave the blade to the assassin in white. Interesting.
Could be. The guy says we shouldn't have let him keep it. That may or may not mean that we gave it to him.
I guess that's true.
I mean, as we find out, it's not the last time that Nail gives Seth the sword. He just really likes giving Seth swords.
It's true.
Although, no, I think it must have been, he must have gotten it from from Shinovar, because one of the requirements of him being truthless was he can't give up the sword.
He can't give up the
That's
sword,
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he
maybe
must
they
have
just
gotten it.
saw it, knew what it was because of who they are,
Yeah.
and we're like, hey, we shouldn't have let him like get away with that.
So the other dude that was with Nail is like, he's got my lord's own blade. So is that a herald or one of their lackeys who has also survived over the years?
Maybe. That does feel like the implication to me, but I thought I would just point out the little connection here.
Well, it's like, I don't know. It's like the fact that he says, oh, that's my lord's makes me think, well, that's not one of the heralds because he's subservient to the heralds. But then Nail was taking orders from Ishi?
Ishar.
I
Yeah.
get-
They call him
Ishar.
Ishi. Yeah, Seth calls him Ishi, but
Yeah.
Well, we were also told that Yezrian was like King of Heralds or Herald of Kings or something like that. So
Oh, that's right.
it could be a thing. Anyway. And like he starts talking to the Stormfather, like, yeah, there's some who say you are one of the heralds. Yezareza, Herald of Kings, Father of Storms. And Stormfather's like, yeah, people think dumb shit. Some think that Kellic is the Stormfather, some think Yezrian is the Stormfather.
Yeah, people are stupid, aren't they? It's essentially what he said.
All this stuff. I thought all this stuff was just like known. It's like no, people are just guessing. It's like sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're not. Most of the time they're not. We don't know anything, guys.
It's so true. Yeah.
Stormfather's like, this is why I don't talk to people.
And Dalinar's like, but Yezrian was a Windrunner, right? And Stormfather's like, no, he was before the Windrunners. He was just Yezrian. The powers were him, basically. The Windrunners were named later when Ishar founded the Orders. And Dalinar's like, yes, Ishi Alin, Herald of Luck. And Stormfather's like, yeah, or of mysteries, or of priests, or whatever else dumb people feel like saying.
Again, you guys are all human and dumb. I'm the best.
He is now as mad as the rest, more perhaps.
Stormfather out.
And Dalinar's like, wait, do you know where the heralds are? And Stormfather is kind of evasive. He's like, I've told you, I don't see everything, just some things. He's like, okay, yeah, but is that one of the things that you see?
It's like, dude, I'm asking you a question. Can you just give me a straight answer for once in your frickin' life?
And then he does. He's like, I only know where one is. I've seen Ishar. He curses me at night, even as he names himself a god. And Dalinar gets it. He's like, wait, it's Tezim, the god priest of Tukar? That's Ishi? And the Stormfather's like, yeah, that's him. Why is he like waging war against Imul? He's like, I don't know, because he's crazy. I told you.
I just told you he's nuts. What do you want me to tell you? That he's not nuts?
And Dalinar's like, when were you going to tell me this? And he's like, when you asked. When else would I tell you?
That's just so stupid. When were you going to tell me this? Whenever you asked me to tell you it. It's like, but I didn't know to ask.
He's like, I'm Stormfather, not Info Father.
Yeah.
And you guys may remember, we talked about how many heralds you guys had met. And there was a whole thing where it's like, well, met, that's a loaded word. We've talked to Ishi over Spanreed when he sent that crazy ass message about like, I am God and you bow down to me or whatever. So in a way.
And like, I had that long theory that like I really wanted to meet this guy.
Yeah, he's crazy apparently. They're all crazy, is what the Stormfather's telling us. We know Nail is a little bit out of it. So
except the Stormfather.
But Nail is the one who says Ishar is like the least crazy and that he's listening to Ishar.
And that was the whole, like, from what we've seen of Nail, like he definitely seems a bit nutso, but he seemed fairly lucid. But it's like, oh yeah, Ishi like is the one we listen to, and it's like, wait, that guy? Now that we know who he is, it's like, oh man, now you are fucked.
Yeah, he's the sanest one of us all, Nail says, and it's like, oh,
that guy's real crazy, so that's not good.
Maybe that's just how his letters sound. We haven't actually met him in person. Maybe he's okay.
I guess.
Talk to him.
Nah, I doubt it. Look, if you spent however long they spent getting tortured, you might be a little addled.
Yeah, right. And then we get to where, like, do you know about my powers? Dalinar asks, like that I could heal the stone. And the Stormfather says, I knew it once you did it. Yes, once you did it, I always knew. And Dalinar's like, oh, okay, that doesn't make sense. Do you know what else I can do? Of course, once you discover it, I will know. I will have always known. And finally, the Stormfather's like, look, your powers come when you're ready for them, not before. You can't force it, okay? Yours is the power Ishar once held, before he was Herald of Luck. They called him Binder of Gods. He was the founder of the Oath Pact. Yours is the power of connection, joining men and worlds, minds and souls. Your surges are the greatest of all, though they will be impotent if you seek to wield them for mere battle. So, you're the most powerful one of all, Dalinar, but don't try to fight. That's, no. And Dalinar's like, are there others out there like me? And the Stormfather, once again, knows this one. He's like, no, not right now. There can only ever be 3. One for each of us. And Dalinar's like, so you and Cultivation and somebody else? And Stormfather's like, ha, no. You would have a hard time making her your spren. I'd like to see you try it. He's like, okay, then who? And the Stormfather says, my siblings need not concern you. All right?
I've been making jokes about Stormfather's family for years.
I'm asking though, so it does concern me.
Nope, it doesn't. Sorry. And then they talk about how gems get like refreshed with stormlight during the storm, and he says Honor's power during a storm is concentrated in one place. It pierces all three realms, and the gemstones exposed to the wonder of the spiritual realm are lit by the infinite power there. Well, damn, that's some information. Honor's power is concentrated in the storm, and that's what the spiritual realm is, what charges these things with stormlight. And Dalinar's like, well, can you recharge this sphere like right now in my hand? And the Stormfather's like, I don't know. Let's try. And it turns out, no, can't do that. I am close to you, but the power is not. It still rides the storm. All right, then. And then we end the conversation having learned actually pulled a few little interesting details out of the Stormfather. How often does that happen? Jeez. And then Dalinar takes the blade to Bridge 4 and says, hey, this thing will let you be a Windrunner. Maybe you guys can practice while Kaladin is gone. And nobody wants to touch it. They're like, oh, no, you take it. I don't want it. Tef's like, Leighton, you're the armorer. You take it. And Leighton's like, what? No, that's not armor. I don't want it. And then Rock's like, idiots. Your soup is cold. That is idiom for you are all stupid. He takes the blade and he's like, I will keep him safe.
I like how he knew what that was an idiom for immediately, and explained it when he could have just said, you're all stupid.
But it's more fun the other way.
Airsick lowlanders.
And then someone's like, oh, hey, yeah, we can like heal ourselves with this. And Donald's like, oh, well, damn, I didn't think of that. This could have been healing people this whole time. Whatever. Practice with this blade, report back to me like what you can do with it, but keep it on the down low. We don't want everyone finding out we've got an honor blade. And then he goes out. It's time for him to head to meet with the Azish. And he's decided to go alone. Navani don't like it. And Fenn's like, I heard that he got stabbed through the chest and then lifted a stone that weighed more than 10 men. I think he'll probably be fine. And she's like, well, no amount of stormlight helps if they just put him in jail. But no, he's going to go by himself. And they give him 3 letters and a span read so he can like click back and forth to, he can't write, but he can let them know he's okay. And then Navani gives him a little box and he goes, oh, is this some kind of fabric? He's like, no, it's lunch. There's no telling what they're going to feed you. Yeah, it notes he can't write to them with a span read, but he can flick it on and off to send signals. An old general's trick for when you lacked a scribe.
I'd never thought about that as another use for the span read.
Yeah, it's kind of neat, huh?
Clever.
So they note there's some Sadeas guys out here, and apparently they've been getting into trouble. And they also look just more like rough and stuff than ever. Like they were never as, neat and tidy as Dalinar soldiers, but now they look bad. And we've got the new banner that Amaram has designed. Sadeas' squat tower has been elongated and the hammer changed to an axe. So, all right. Yeah, as Joe pointed out, it's like, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but Yasna meets up with him and is like, yeah, we've been having trouble. There's almost a riot out here on the parade grounds because of Sadeas' troops. No, he tells her that. I've been thinking, maybe some hard labor, strictly supervised in a ruined city might be just the thing. And Yasna's like, how convenient that we're currently providing exactly such assistance to Queen Fen. Work Sadeas' troops to exhaustion, assuming we can keep them under control. So that's what we're going to do with the Sadeas soldiers. Since they're causing trouble, we're going to send them to Thelana to clean rubble. I'm sure nothing bad will happen out of that.
Yes, they will have a great time, and nothing bad. ...
Lift has unlocked the other side of the Oath Gate with permission from the Azish court. It's not like she's just doing it out of nowhere. So it's time for Dalinar to head out. And that's where we end our chapter.
With permission.
Yeah, right, for once. And yeah, we end our chapter with him disappearing from Urithiru and going to the Azish Imperial Court all on his own. And that's where we wrap. So, predicaments. Let's get into what are we going to read for next time? We're going to do another 4 chapters for next time. That's 65, 66, 67, and 68. And those chapters, 65 is called Verdict. 66 is called Strategist. 67 is called Mishim. And 68 is called Aim for the Sun. So what do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen next? What is going on?
Okay, well, I kind of hope that we go back to Kholinar. I mean, I know Dalinar's just made it to Azir and, presumably he'll meet everyone he needs to talk to over there. But I think the Kholinar chapters is where it's at for me at the moment. So I'm hoping we get back there. In regards to the chapter titles, I don't know. What was 67? Did you say Mishim?
Mishim, Mishim. So I don't. Yeah, what that means, who knows?
Yeah, maybe it's, I don't know, a person or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think we'll go back to Kholinar. We got to get back together with everyone that's at Taylor's shop to go through what happened. I think that I think at first I was like, Elikar's wife's gone crazy, but I don't know, maybe she's already dead, and whatever it is taking over. I think Shallan or someone had said that there's an unmade here, and there's certainly elements of that, like saying that it's not right, and she doesn't know when she's looking at the building and taking a memory. She's like, I'm not sure what good that will even do, because when she goes to try and draw it, it'll probably turn out like Urithiru was turning out. So, I mean, it could be, but I don't know. I think it feels different. It's presenting differently. So I'm keen to look into that a bit more. But I'm going to go with, so Elikar's wife is already dead, and maybe something is kind of presenting as we already know that, you know, the unmade that we saw was able to pretend to be other people. So maybe that's something that's happening. And they made the comment of him, so I'm assuming pretty direct link to Odium in there. What else have we got? How they'll tackle that, I don't know. I think it's a bit early to tell, and maybe a little while before we get back into the palace. But obviously, there's a very big problem in their way of getting to the Oathgate. How are they going to do that now? Not sure. So I think we'll be in Kholinar for a little while. I do think they need to be able to get word to Urithiru that something's gone bad. But now that we have Dalinar also not in Urithiru, there could be a bit of a disrupt with the communication lines happening. Hopefully he's not in Azir too long, and that they're able to get word back to him pretty quickly.
Do you think they'll be able to get word back to him if they can't use span reads because of the weird flying, screaming things?
Well, I think they're going to have to figure out how far away they've got to be. Like, obviously, people can use span reads; they're just not using them in Kholinar. So if they can get out of Kholinar, how far away from Kholinar can you be to use a span read? Like, they don't have to go all the way back to Urithiru. Obviously, the easiest thing would be to do is to activate the Oathgate, but whatever's there is going to make that pretty hard to do. So, you know, they already sort of said maybe we should just go back and report what we know. But Elikar's raised a point, like, what's Dalinar going to do about it? You know, unless you send reinforcements. But even how is that going to help at this point? It's not. You're probably better off to stay and get some information. But I think they've got to be able to at least get word back and go, we are here, we're safe, we know what's going on with the, like, not being able to use the span reads. And they've got to be able to come up with a plan safely as well. You know, you've got two Radiants with you, but it's not enough to be able to do anything super meaningful. They're going to have to be pretty covert.
Yeah.
But we do have the trainee spies, so, you know, that's pretty intense. From, hey, you might be good at observing things, to we need you to infiltrate the king's palace. That's pretty nuts. But we know that they're working on those skills, so maybe we'll see a little bit of them around the city trying to gather up some intel and work with that. So that'd be cool, like a bit of a spy thriller kind of vibe to the book. Amaram, I think he was going to be very displeased that his troops would be redirected. Whether he's just not very good at leading an army so big, I feel like he had such a good reputation for leading his troops. I can't imagine that would just go completely south unless there was a total lack of disrespect to him, which maybe there is. I don't know. He was, you know, fairly close to Dalinar as well, so I can't imagine that in Sadeas's army that was well looked upon. But I think we're unfortunately probably going to see a bit more of Amaram around to protest all this sort of stuff, especially with the pepperings of Sadeas's murder in there. I think we're probably going to see a bit more of those characters show up. And we've got so many of our main characters who aren't in Urithiru. So, yeah, maybe we're going to see a bit more of that storyline starting to play out. And I think Dalinar is going to be pretty keen to go and meet Ishar now. Ishar? Is that, am I saying the right name? Or is it
Yeah,
Ishar?
Ishar, the Herald.
Ishar.
Yeah.
Yes, the Herald. Yep. Especially knowing that they come from the same powers
Mm-hmm.
as well. I think that's, if Stormfather can't answer the questions, maybe the Herald can. But maybe this is where Dalinar's journey will go next, once he's got his people that he needs to be in the right areas and on board. Maybe he'll go through and try and find that, and find out who the other heralds are, which would be pretty cool as well. I don't know what help that would be, but I guess if you can learn more about your powers and your abilities, if there's a moment of lucidity there in all the crazy, maybe he'll try and do that. I mean, Dalinar's looking for something, right? He's pretty bored. Nothing really to do. Looking for more.
Yeah, he has nothing to do. It's fine.
Yeah.
It is interesting that you'd say that, because that's true. We know that Dalinar is the Stormfather told us he's the only bondsmith right now. There is one other person in the world who might know something about how bondsmith powers work. If you don't count the Stormfather, who says, "Yeah, I know, but I won't know until you know," which is not in any way helpful. So yeah, if he needs to learn more about his powers and he doesn't want to figure it out on his own, that's the only place to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might not be a great idea. Who knows? Because the one message we've had from that guy is not sane in any way, but maybe.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. And then we can have Stormfather sit there and go, "Oh yeah, I knew that. I've always known that. Just didn't know how to tell you."
Yeah, no, you should have asked, man. It's fine.
Yeah, you need to find the exact words to your question, because if you ask me something adjacent to what you mean, you're not getting the answer either.
Oh, Stormfather.
So I've got a few things this week. So I talked a little bit earlier about like who the other Bondsmith siblings could be. I wonder if one of them is that big water spren that the collector saw. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
It's just like we're talking
the one that
about
shows up
these-
at the same time every day, right?
Yeah, we're talking about these like big forces of nature, right? The Stormfather is like he's in a storm that happens very regularly. This other big water spren is is like a spren that shows up very regularly. So I wonder if it's like, it has more of a consistent nature to it, making it possibly a spren that a bondsmith could be bonded to. That was just a thought I had, and it would give kind of more meaning to that little interlude that we read, right? It would be like, oh yeah, that wasn't just like the collector, even though he's fun. It wasn't just like a thing with the collector. It's like that is actually an important like entity to the Radiance.
Oh.
So be kind of fun, interesting if that was the case. Kind of cool. So we've got that piece that I was kind of theorizing, thinking about when the Stormfather says, "Yes, I have siblings." It's like, oh, siblings, huh? So like, are they also forces of nature? Because that would make sense. But I guess all spren to an extent are some kind of force, either in nature or in like emotion. So I guess it's not a big stretch to say that. But as far as where the story's going, I think we've talked about it in previous weeks, but I think there's a conflict coming, obviously, from the Parshmen, Voidbringers, Fuse, whatever you want to call them. And I think that has to take place while our characters are in Kholinar. It would be strange for it not to. So they're there. They're trying to figure out what's going on. There's this dark cloud over the palace. There's obviously something seriously wrong going on in there, seeing as how Shallan went in there and immediately got stabbed. Like, that's not normal behavior.
No, I hope it's not normal behavior. Yeah.
I think again, Sanderlanche's stance on murder is not only that murder is bad, but it's also not normal. So it's weird, to say the least, that she just immediately gets murdered. There's an interesting thing, and I don't know if we talked about it today that much or brought it up that much, but there's an interesting thing with the Taylor where she keeps talking about the passion, which is like I feel like is an odium word. So she's like, I kept thinking I kept feeling the passion would tell me that something was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, ooh. And we've got all these spren people, and Syl mentioned like the weird spren are his spren, makes me think odium. So there's got to be some kind of thing going through Kholinar that odium has a more direct hand in. If it's one of the Unmade, that would make sense, right? But he might be more directly affecting Kholinar, because we know that our main characters Dalinar, are basically our Alethi main characters outside of Kaladin and Shallan, like they're from Kholinar. It's an important place to them, and so it's kind of a big deal to for it to be besieged, and also for some bad things to be going on there. We already know Yasna wasn't a big fan of Elhokar's wife, so I don't know if she's been tainted by the unmade odium, whatever. But there's obviously something going on that shouldn't be. And so I think all of those little pieces will hopefully be made plain when the Fuse decide to actually advance on the city for real, as opposed to just little skirmishes to test the defenses. And if our heroes are revealed to be in Kholinar by the enemy, then that's a big kind of like trigger. It's like, oh, well, the enemy's inside the city. Like, people that could actually stop us are inside the city. We got to move now. That opens the door for Moash to come with them, for things to come to a head between them, which we've already talked about in past weeks. And so I think that's where we're headed for this Kholinar bit, is some kind of conflict. As much as Dalinar was kind of an interruption to the Kholinar bits, which were very fun, I am very interested to see what this meeting between Dalinar and the boy Emperor Lift, all that. I'm just interested to see where it goes. Even if Lift is slightly annoying, like I am still interested to see where it goes. And so we've got that to look forward to as well. And I think that's about it this week for me.
Okay. It's an interesting thing to me that you point out that you're like, passion feels like an odium word.
Yeah, because he used it with Dalinar before, right?
Yes, he said that odium was a name, but he was more than that. He was like passion. He was all emotion or whatever.
Right.
I thought I've always taken what she was referring to there to be like we were told in an earlier chapter that the passions is like a religion, because we were told that like Haber follows the passions, and so that's what I took that as, like a reference to that. But it's interesting that
I mean, it could be a religion, but maybe it stems originally from odium.
From odium, yeah. That could be an interesting little turn. We don't want Haber following odium religion of some kind. That would be no good.
Yeah.
But so yes, that's potentially interesting. And I think you and everyone else has agreed that it's like we're moving towards some sort of conflict in Kholinar. Now, what exactly form that'll take, who could say for sure at this point, but it definitely seems like that's where we're going here. So I don't know. Do you think, and I meant to actually ask Jamie when she was talking about this, but we got past that. Do you think that we're halfway through the book at this point? Is Kholinar, is the story of whatever goes on there, does that go to the end of the book? Does that go to like the end of this part? How long do we think that part is going to last?
I don't know if it'll go. I don't think it'll go to the end of the book. That seems like too much space for it to go all the way from the middle to the end of the book, unless we really slow down and it's actually like a siege that takes place, because that would be weird. It's possible, but weird. I don't know if it'll just be the end of the part though either. I think it'll be somewhere kind of in the middle. Maybe it covers two parts. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it can't last a super long time, but at the same time, I don't think it'll be rushed either.
All right, fair enough. Just curious what you guys were thinking.
I reckon you might see this internal piece happen a bit quicker, like inside the walls so far, and then I think that the Parshman piece fused will probably go a bit longer. So I could see it going to the end of the book, like overall being in Kholinar, but yeah, I think this current internal piece has to be resolved quicker than that, because you kind of got to get through that to then be able to fight what's coming. Plus, we've still got to kind of work out, the I can't see Sadius's murder plot not being resolved in this book. Like, I know it occurred at the end of the last book, but they have to come back to that, and I think we have to go back to Irithyru, or we've got to learn something to like have stakes in that there as well. So I reckon we'll be done by this book, but I think overall the Kholinar plot will take probably a couple of parts.
That's a really reasonable thought that I hadn't quite broken it down that way in my mind, but you're right that the Kholinar issue is at this point two issues. We have whatever the hell is going on in the city, but then once you resolve that, there's still an army outside waiting to come in. So you do have to kind of address both of those things. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's like, since we're on the topic, my thought was we're in part 3 now. This is part 3, not part 4, yeah?
Part 3, yes.
Yeah. I think that the Kholinar plot, or at least our protagonist's part in it, is going to be resolved in part 3. And it might have some damning repercussions for the rest of the book. But yeah, like I don't think our guys will be here longer than part 3,
Okay.
unless one of them gets left behind or something. Which is possible. I theorized before that Adolin might perish in the course of this Kholinar mission. Maybe he doesn't, but maybe the others have to evacuate and he gets left behind. We've seen abundant battle tactics from him. Maybe he has to take over from this iron-fisted High Marshal Azure up on the wall, because who knows what that guy's about.
True. So
maybe Adolin, and the others might think that he died, because that would be, to jump off Jamie's point, it would be a very interesting point to come back and the truth about the Sadius assassination comes out when everyone thinks Adolin is dead, but then later on he shows up very much alive, and Iali is just like, there he is, get him,
yeah.
So that could be a cool little wrinkle, but yeah, I'm not sure. For my prediction this week, I was also going to talk about Stormfather's siblings, and I really like what Joe said about the water-based spren. Mine is kind of related to that, but actually sort of not, just because it was from the same chapter. My thought was more like Dalinar's going to go looking for like the powerful spren who would also, be bondsmith potential, and then Yasna could go. I made this joke last week. Yasna could just go, I know a guy. And they go find, the mighty savior himself, Axes the Collector. No one knows more about Spren than he does. So if Dalinar's looking for a big and powerful Spren, maybe Axes can come into the fold. And I don't he probably wouldn't be a big presence. I think from what you said, from what some comments Brandon has made, Axes doesn't really have a large role to play, but he might show up again in little bits and pieces. So maybe he's just he's their expert consultant on all things Spren. So it's like, all right, we need more information about the Spren. Yasna, get your guy. I'm like, all right. And then, we get a chapter of Yasna going out to the big Turtle Island thing and just cutting him down. It's like, you're coming with me.
I like this. Yes, he's still hanging there. She has to go get him. That
maybe.
Would be awesome.
Or maybe not. I feel like Axes is the kind of guy, it's like every time you see him, he's in some other mishap.
Yeah.
Like Yasna rocks up to find him, and it's like, all right, where is he? And she finds herself in a great shell nest, and he's just there curled up under the eggs. It's like, if I move, they'll eat me.
Could they eat him?
The great shells? I don't know. We don't know. Like, he's a different kind of Amian to the Kremling people, isn't he?
Right, yes. He definitely indicated that. So, yeah. He's also sort of... I feel like he told us he was, kind of immortal.
Well, just because he... Like, being eaten wouldn't necessarily mean killing him.
Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah, you can get eaten with... Yeah, okay.
How long does it take to pass through a moonworm's stomach? That was a Comedy Central Futurama reference. I should know my audience. I should know my audience better.
Yeah, we don't dig on Comedy Central Futurama.
I've seen them all at some point,
even
but I don't not as many times.
Hulu Futurama yet.
No, I haven't either. Actually, I haven't seen the newest.
We've watched them. I think if you didn't like the Comedy Central ones, you're probably not going to like these. I think they're a step below those. I don't dislike them, but I do think they're weaker than what's come before. But when the new season drops next month, you better believe I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
See,
I guess I need to go through and watch them.
I didn't necessarily dislike the Comedy Central ones. I didn't think they were as good, but I didn't dislike. I think the real issue is I've had the original Futurama seasons on DVD for so long, and I've watched them all a million times, and even with commentary like a million times. And so even thinking the new seasons were decent, I haven't watched them anywhere near that much. So
see, I think that's where I am with the Hulu ones, because we've had the Comedy Central ones on DVD for so long, and we just watch those in rotation with with the originals. So even though the Comedy Central ones, I feel like there's a wild swing in quality. Some of them are the best episodes of the whole series, and others are among the worst. It's just a massive disparity of quality. So it's like I can't condemn the Comedy Central ones, because there are some absolute bangers in there. But yeah, so yeah, take what you will. The Hulu, and yeah, then the Hulu ones come after decades of just being all up on the originals and the Comedy Centrals, and it's like, oh, this feels a bit weird. But they're not bad. I still quite like them.
I may have asked you this before, but what's your favorite of the Comedy Central? Is there one that stands out that maybe I could go watch and be like, oh yeah, this is good?
My favorite one is the Zoidberg origin one. It's called The Tip of the Zoidberg. Because, like, you know, I love Zoidberg. He's my favorite character, always has been. And, like, this deals into how he and the professor met and how he came to work at Planet Express. And it's brilliant.
I was about to say, who would have thought that a Zoidberg episode would be Dak's favorite? I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Not that shocked. I had to bring up that episode so I could remember what it was. And there's a Smurf joke in there that was funny.
Yep.
Good
so that's my prediction. Axis the Collector will be the Spren guy they call up every time they need information regarding who could possibly be like a Spren on the level of the Stormfather. And he's like, hang on, let me get the tattoos on my butt.
I love this. Ever since like last time when we learned that Yasna is aware of Axis, it's been like we need this to be relevant. And I would love to see this. I agree.
Yep. All hail the mighty one.
All right, we got a bunch of emails piled up, so let's jump straight to doing a couple of those. How about? We got an email from Gustav, and it says, "Top class podcast. Here's my review and thoughts. Hello, Sanderlanchians. I'm currently listening to episode for chapters 5 and 6 of Words of Radiance, so I'm still a while away from catching up. I started around March 2025. I'm a mobile engineer, so I drive a lot around southern England. Although I've skipped some of the episodes where you aren't discussing books, so that I can go back to them once I catch up reading with y'all, as I anticipate I'll be feeling withdrawal once I have to wait a week between episodes. I love that. Like, we got some baby break things and stuff, and he's like, I don't want to listen to those now, but once I run out of episodes, I probably will.
Fair enough.
Yeah, why not? I've started the Cosmere books in February when I received the first era as a birthday present and was hooked immediately. I've also just gotten my friend into them now, although I'm not sure he'll hop on the long haul ride that I'm on. As you do when entertaining such a vast world, I looked for a podcast where the hosts were doing a blind read-through and found yours, for which I'm very grateful. As that was not the case when I found an Akotar podcast during my 16-book binge, and sadly found myself occasionally spoiled. Yeah, I haven't read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've not heard that many positive things from people that I know about it, although I did read that same author's other series. What's it called?
Is that Fourth Wing, or am I thinking of something else?
No. I don't know who wrote Fourth Wing. Oh, now I'm going to look at that. Fourth Ring is Rebecca Yarros. A Court of Thorns and Roses is Sarah J. Maas. So,
right.
But no, the other thing she wrote was Throne of Glass, I think.
I just looked up Throne of Glass.
Yes, that's the one I read.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was decent.
Somebody, we both know, turned us on to that. I didn't read through the first book all the way yet.
Oh, that's right. She did, didn't she? I kind of forgot how I read the first book. That's right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, not bad books. But I've heard from several people who have read both that Thorn and Roses is not as good as the other one. So I've never read those. Anyway, continue with the email. Just want to say I appreciate the work you all put in. I can imagine the time difference, children, and other factors can sometimes impact recording. But from the outside, it looks like y'all have handled it like champs. You're all my favorites. Joe might edge it slightly on this podcast, as you all bring different but great energies. As you all bring differing but great energies. The tangents and pop culture references are awesome. On my latest episode, you mentioned the Give You Goosebumps book, which was fucking awesome growing up. And your theories are well thought out, even when they're wrong, but super fun when they nailed it on the head. Joe has just predicted that Yasna is going to die, which defo hits me in the feels. Keep doing what you're doing. My current thoughts, being on page 300 of Words of Radiance, are slight confusion, as the Ghost Bloods on Roshar seem to be very antagonizing. And despite Kelsier being a bit of an asshole, he was still mostly chaotic good in Mistborn. So looking forward to more revelations on that. The 10 heartbeats teasing in Shallan's chapters are keeping me on edge, whilst with Kaladin's feelings of disgust when it comes to shard blades, I wonder if he'll ever take up the mantle of having one. Would be cool if he could get like a shard spear instead, used to protect those who cannot protect themselves. However, I'm doubting that particular thing can happen. Loving these
man,
books,
sometimes you should just go with your gut.
right? Yeah. I love that. It's like, man, if only he could get a shard spear. No, that would never happen. Loving these books, loving the podcast. Real sorry for the long email. I guess this was 199 episodes worth of feedback, though. Also, hello, future me. Enjoy feeling awkward if this long-ass essay is read on the podcast once you catch up. P.S. Here's my 5-star Spotify rating. Good job moderating data. Love you all 3,000. All the way from South London, Gustav.
Damn.
Thanks, mate.
Sweet Endgame reference.
Mm.
Man, what a great review. That came out kind of Christopher Walken. I apologize about that. What a great review. 5 stars.
What a great review.
Yeah, 5 stars to your review. I gotta make you a coin shot.
Very nice.
All right, who would Christopher Walken play in the Cosme?
That's a hard one.
That is a hard one. There's got to be a good Christopher Walken.
He's one of those actors. I just would never have associated him with like sci-fi fantasy at all, and then he showed up in Dune 2.
See, I think he could be anywhere. I believe in him.
Oh, I do too. Like I love Christopher Walken. It's just like I just rarely see him in such things.
Sorry, now I had to Google to see if anyone was talking about casting Christopher Walken as this person's like Hoyd. I think he's a little old for Hoyd. Sorry,
A bit old.
Yeah.
You know what? 20 years younger Christopher Walken. Actually, that would work really well.
I can see it. Christopher Walken from what's that Johnny Depp movie where he plays the bad guy?
Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah.
No, not the one I was thinking of actually, but
Oh no, Nick of Time.
Nick of Time. That's the one. Thank you. I was like, what is that? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Fun movie. Not like
haven't
one of either of theirs like standout hits or anything, but not bad.
That was like early Johnny Depp though.
Yes, it is very young Johnny Depp. It is 1995.
I
Yeah.
haven't even thought about that movie since probably 2005.
I mean, I guess to be fair, very young Johnny Depp would be like Nightmare on Elm Street, but this is adult.
Post Edward Scissorhands, pre Tim Burton. No, post pre the rest of Tim Burton stuff.
Anyway, tangent. Send us who you think Christopher Walken would play in the Cosmere, because now I want to know what people think. There's got to be a good one. I just can't think of it.
Christopher Walken's Blue Fingers. Boom, nailed it.
Oh, that totally would work. Actually,
Blue fingers.
man, then I would be suspicious of him from the beginning, though.
Yeah, it's like well, obviously he's the bad guy.
It's Christopher Walken.
Okay, let's do at least one more here because we got like 8 in the box at the moment. This one is from Joe from Minnesota. Joe, it says.
No relation.
The title is Heralds, and it says, I'm listening through your back catalog trying to catch up, and I'm on your Edge Dancer episodes and loving this podcast. I don't know if you still haven't told the team the names of all the Heralds as you're in the first half of Oathbringer, but if you haven't, you probably can now. Fans, without the help of Brandon, were able to deduce the Vorin names of all 10 Heralds, by the end of Words of Radiance, by going through world exclamations, prayers, oaths, patronages, etc., and pulling out the names of the Heralds, their Vorin names at least. Then they compared that to the number chart in the Ars Arcanum to learn their divine attributes. And then fans got Brandon to confirm that the faces in the arches were heralds and tell us which one was which. I just think it's okay for you to share this with them, as it wasn't something that Brandon told us, but rather something fans figured out when they had too much time to kill in between these books. We couldn't at this point match the heralds to their orders exactly, but we had a decent idea. Especially once we figured out that anyone with Ilin as a title was actually a herald, which I think is something that came out a lot in this chapter, which is why I kind of saved this, or in this section, because we do talk about the Ilin thing. So let's see here. They list off the heralds for us, because also noting that the numbers, Alethi numbers 1 through 10, are also named after the heralds.
Well, I'm just going to point out, I picked this up from the map of Kholinar that we saw in this section, because it has like the list of the temples to all the heralds and has their names right there.
Yep,
Yeah.
It sure does. I almost talked about that when we were there, and then I was like, we're going to read this email after. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
but yeah. So, Yezrian or Yezereza, Nalan, which is Nail, Shanarok, mentioned in the Fleet story, because it says that Fleet once raced the herald Shanarok. Videl, Pala, Shalash, Bata, Kelek, Talinalot, and Ishar, whatever. And in that order, they are numbers 1 through 10. Is like the number 1 is Jez or Yez. The number 2 is Non, and so on and so forth. The number 10 is Ishi. So, and then they have a little bit of a spoiler bit at the bottom, so I won't read that. But this seemed like a good time to bring that out, since we definitely have figured out the heralds' names at this point. So you can watch out for that.
Hooray! Now, which ones have we met?
Yeah, that's a good question. We now know that we've talked to Ishi at least, and we know that we've met Nail, so that's 2 for sure.
And Town.
And Town, that's right. Crazy. We don't know where he is now, but he was also nuts. So that's 3 of 10 for sure. Let me see here. How many of you guys, if we count Ishar, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd say 6 that I remember that we've met for sure.
Wow.
And 3 that have been, 3 of those we've identified for certain. So interesting. Let's just do one more. This one's not too long. This one is titled "You're Haunting My Dreams." Hi, Sanderlanchers. I'm Pedro from Brazil, and this is my second email to you. My first one, sent a while back, was about which Cosmere character you would want to punch the most. Today, I want to share a funny dream I had last night. I woke up at 4 a.m. to use the bathroom, and the dream I was having stayed in my mind. I was dreaming about a Sanderlanche episode, where Data was blaming himself and feeling like he was revealing too much information in these episodes. He thought the tone of his voice was giving away major plot points and ruining the experience for everyone, so he was going to end the podcast entirely. Looking back, it sounds ridiculous, but in the dream, I took it very seriously. I kept saying, "No, Data, please don't end the show. The tone of your voice is amazing, and the crew is not having their experiences ruined." It's so silly, I know, but dreams don't make sense, I guess. It was wild, because the day before, I just graduated from college, and the day after, I had a big presentation at work, yet my brain decided to focus on this. Priorities, I guess. Anyway, thanks for the amazing work putting the show on every week, wasing to the time of next. Well, congratulations for graduating college, Pedro. That's awesome.
Congrats. Also, I thought that email was going to say he had a dream about Joe just beating shit out of Spook, considering like his previous email was about who do you want to punch the most? Like, well, that's obviously where that's going to go.
It's a perfectly normal dream. Obviously, everyone has that one. Thank you for sharing with us. That was fun. I do sometimes worry that tone of voice is revealing things, but I get more worried when my mouth starts talking and I only realize after I've said something that may have been more revealing than I intended to be. But they don't always spot it.
Well, if it helps, I just assume that you're always in control of what you are, like, spoiling and telling us, unless it's really obvious, like the Vasha thing. So even if you do spoil stuff, I'm probably just not going to pick up on it at all.
It's like the time that I said Syl's name before we'd met Syl, and it was just like I was going, and then afterwards I realized, oh shit, what did I just say? And then I just had to kind of play it off.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, no one really picked up on it. And it's not like it's a huge spoiler that this character, because it was just random weird Spren doing weird things before we found out her name. So it's not like it's a huge spoiler that this thing has a name, and we will eventually learn it, and here it is. But still,
yeah,
that's the kind of thing that stays with me, is when I'm like, oh crap, I started talking and I just didn't stop in time. Sometimes it gets hard to remember what happens in which books. Like I'm rereading Wind and Truth now, and I have to make sure to stop myself before I say something that happened in Wind and Truth, as if this is something you guys already know. Good times.
Yeah. It's like, now remember, I can't reveal that this High Marshal Azure is actually one of the other heralds. Like, that's not going to fly.
This major character dies. You guys knew that, right? All of the major characters die.
And then come back to life.
And then come back, right? Yeah, that's how we do. Yasna's already done that once, so.
So was Seth.
Oh, yeah, even more than Yasna, actually. to the point that he has like a weird shadow that goes after him because his soul is slightly disconnected from his body.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is? Did we talk about that? I didn't.
I think in Edge Dancer, like it says something about it. Yeah.
That's weird, man.
It is weird, yeah. Well, because we haven't seen Seth for like 2,000 pages or something at this point. Something silly. I don't know. Hold on, we're halfway through Oathbringer. How long is Oathbringer?
Yeah, this is like he hasn't shown up at all in this book.
Yeah. Oathbringer is it's only 1,200 pages. So it's been like 600 pages since we saw Seth. Maybe a little more than that, because it was like 3/4 through Edge Dancer. All right. Well, we'll save more for next time. Thank you, everyone who sent in an email. We appreciate you guys. If anyone wants to send an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram. And Patreon, where I'm still posting my reactions to Wind and Truth, reading it for the first time. We're actually starting to get towards the end. I've got 10 more left. So that'll last a couple of months, going one a week. But when we started out with like 30 some odd or 40 of them, 10 doesn't seem like too much. Hold on, 147. I've done this before, but 147 was how many? Well, 140 some odd chapters divided by 3. Yeah, that's like almost 50 because I read 3 chapters at a time. So yeah, there was a lot of episodes of that. It's been being posted since I came home in December from the convention with my book. So yeah. After that, I'll do Isles of the Emberdark, but for now, still Wind and Truth going up. So yeah, check out the Patreon if you're interested in that sort of thing. Thanks to all of our patrons, all the people hanging out on the Discord. If you want to join the Discord, there's a link at our website, www.thesanderlanche.com. So you can join up there and chat with people about the show, about the Cosmere, about we've had some Dungeon Crawler Carl conversation going on lately. Just all that sort of stuff. So check that out. And thank you to all of our folks who just show up every week and listen to us go through these. I hope that you're having a good time. If you stuck with us through, what are we at now? 250 episodes will be out by the time this is 251.
Yeah, this is 251.
So if you stuck with us this long, I assume you're enjoying it. But we appreciate you nonetheless. Remember, we're doing 4 chapters next week. If you're reading along, read up through chapter 68 of Oathbringer. Music by Miracle of Sound, and Wasing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Haha, I'm Sil.